Good morning everyone. In this video I'm going to analyze the live price action for EU and DXY to see what opportunities may be available for today. You're going to see my strategy and my analysis, so if you're interested in those then please stick around. Right, starting off here on the daily. Right, what's the daily chart showing us? Well, yesterday on EU we've closed out as a bearish doji, right? Clearly we've taken sell side liquidity and buy side liquidity and closed out bearish overall, right? So these wicks are just created from that sweep down below, right? And then internally we may have mitigated something causing that bearish price action. We still have this imbalanced draw below here on the daily, which is in the discount of this leg here. Okay, we've been fairly bearish since taking this buy side liquidity, as I've mentioned in previous videos. Of course, momentum has died out a little bit in comparison to the day before, because we swept that previous daily low and some more sell side liquidity below here. However, the bearish direction could quite possibly continue. If we look at DXY though, it did close as a bearish high test, took that previous daily high above here, mitigated more of this imbalance, right? And probably just met the wick end of this order block here. However, there is still more imbalance to go, so I do believe price could possibly go higher. We pulled back quite a lot from that high here, right? We closed out proper high test, bearish candle. So we could potentially continue that bearish move now on DXY going downwards. There's not really much POIs to hold it back, but there's a lot of rest in sell side liquidity maybe below here. So we'll have to see the lower time frame to see where price structure is looking like it's heading. But again, we still have more imbalance up here as well, just like we do on EU in the discount. This imbalance is here in the premium. Maybe on the lower time frame, there'll be some sort of area of support there to drive price higher. Now, if we look closer at today's candle, we're now a doji, right? We've taken our previous daily low. Okay, we haven't done the same on EU because the candle length is obviously a lot further. So we opened up around the low already. So previous daily low would have been taken last night and yesterday's evening, so I'm not reading into that sell side liquidity so much. On the lower time frame, we'll see if we have anything around this area that has caused this pullback here, right? Because price opened up, had an initial bullish price action, and then sent us bearish, and now we've pulled back, right, to create this little doji. So that's what you can read just from the candle before even going down to the lower time frame. So on EU, we still have previous daily high, buy side and sell side liquidity on previous daily low. So I think that's enough discussion for the daily. Let's go down to the 4 hour and see if that gives us a hint on direction for today. Okay, so on the 4 hour, right, yesterday I had the leg from here to here. Now we have pulled back somewhat. We mitigated this imbalance here fully, right? We mitigated this area here. There's probably a lower time frame on the 1 hour POI here. And we had a bearish, massive bearish push yesterday. I think there might have been a news announcement, okay, making a slightly lower low. So you can still see the leg as maybe from here to here. So I'm not opposed to that. That's fine, I think. We've taken more sell side liquidity obviously below these lows, right? So sell side liquidity has been taken below this low back here and this low here. This caused obviously overnight and into the Asia range a pullback. Okay, now we're finding some area of resistance here just by looking at the 4 hour, right, which has caused us to be bearish for say the last 3 hours. So there may be something around this area on the 1 hour chart, right? We'll get to that. We've left this imbalance above, still may provide a draw on price, right? Especially if we just read the leg as from here to here, there's still potential that we'll want to pull back and mitigate this area, right? But that's what we leave the lower time frames for, just to see the direction for the session in the day. This is just me pointing out POIs that can potentially draw price from this discount, from this sell side liquidity, okay? So there is potential for more price, especially on the 4 hour. As we're analyzing the 4 hour, I wouldn't say that this is like a POI that may hold price, but there may be on the 1 hour, okay? But on the 4 hour, we may pull back further. Now, what's interesting is what we see on DXY as well. Of course, we've got that bullish leg, right, from the low to the high here. We've pulled back now to this discount, and as I said on the daily, something down here has caused price to draw back up. Now this isn't moving live, so this may be a lot higher, So we came back down to a discount of this leg, mitigated this fair value gap, and we so far rejected it. Okay, so we've pulled back from this point, as you can tell by this big bearish candle here on EU, right, which means DXY has gone bullish. So this looks nice to me. This is why this area is showing some sign of support. So we may see more bullish price action from DXY from this area, right? There's that potential. And on EU, there may be a lower time frame imbalance here that may hold price. We'll see how that adds up. But we've got our attention on this also, which may hold price. We may come up to that. So bearish leg on EU, bullish leg on DXY. We've pulled back to an imbalance, right? So bias wise, it may be hinting to further bullish price action from DXY to come and feel more of the imbalance up here, or potentially go to this POI. We don't know, okay? But that is the potential. And we've got this bearish leg. We may have some resistance here on the lower time frames. So we'll see what this looks like on the 1 hour, I think. So let's go down to the 1 hour and see what that looks like. All right, so here we are again on the 1 hour. So let's go through this again, because these examples keep showing up, right? As I showed yesterday, corrective price action, build up, sweep that internal buy side liquidity, breakdown, taking that entire trend line out. Now, then yesterday again and Monday, we created this trend line sort of thing, came up, mitigated this POI. There's an internal buy side liquidity sweep there. As you can see, that swept above that candle, mitigated this entire trend line again for the sell side liquidity, right? Left the POI above. Unfortunately, it done this more in a discount, but it doesn't matter. And then on news, I believe maybe we've mitigated that. So what's happening here again? We've got a possible 1 hour leg now, right? From this high to this low, because on a 1 hour, it looks more like a lower low. Obviously, we have that potential of the 4 hour POI and old 1 hour POI above may draw pricing. But let's look at it with all of our confluences. So we have a possible bearish leg, 1 hour POI up here, right? Imbalance and order block, which we've mitigated in Asia. Very corrective pullback overnight, creating that trend line liquidity. We may have taken some liquidity internally, or on the open of London, price just wanted to go down, obviously. And we may come and mitigate this trend line again if we're going to continue with our bearish trend. All right, so premium on the 1 hour, possibly 1 hour order block and imbalance mitigated, trend line liquidity for sell side for us to seek out. We've got the same sort of trend line here on DXY as well, right? Where that high is, we've pulled back to a 1 hour and 4 hour imbalance POI here. We've mitigated that and we had some bullish move from there. Clearly that momentum's kind of dying out, so we'll see why that is. Potentially we've just taken some sell side here that's causing that pullback, but hopefully you get the picture that I'm creating now, right? This pattern's happening over and over again here, so we may continue down towards our previous daily low, continue bearish towards that daily imbalance, right, in the discount, and continue bullish here on DXY because of the shape that it's forming. So then that's when we move down to lower time frame to see what structure is building to give us that indication earlier of the direction on this 1 hour chart, for example, or just for the session. So I think it looks clean on the 1 hour. We happen to have mitigated this fair value gap at the same time we're mitigating this imbalance. So it does provide support and resistance, which you can see is kind of playing out. We'll see if that's going to continue. So my bias at the moment is shorts. So I have a short bias here, bearish bias, at least for the session, at least till we take some more sell side liquidity. All right, knowing that, yeah, we have the potential premium in that 4 hour leg as well that we may want to head for, but that's why we wait for structure. So let's go down to the M15 and see what this looks like. So on the M15, it's funny because yesterday, obviously I said I wouldn't trade from this M15 order block, just because it's a previous day order block, right? I didn't really see the potential to trade from it, and price just fell from there, typically. So I wanted order flow, I wanted price to reject this area, then create structure, come back, and then I could trade down. But instead, it just broke down, giving me no opportunity to come into this trade. So anyway, that's my review of yesterday. Fair value gap, 15-minute order block, right? We went above this high and then collapsed on a possible news announcement, I think, took out this low. Now we've done the same. We're pulling back all this corrective trend line action here, right? Sell side liquidity below these lows. Now what we've done today is on London Open, we have swept the lows of Asia, right? We've taken that sell side liquidity and that's given us a bit of a bullish move. We are somewhat struggling to keep that bullish momentum. So we may break down again to go further for all of this sell side liquidity from this 1 hour POY. I don't want to marry my bias too much. So we need to see better price action than this. We've got loads of long wicks. Now, unfortunately, there's loads of news today and there's a big news announcement coming up in about an hour and 15 minutes. All of this inflation news. So whether we get a chance to execute today, I'm not sure. Now, what do I want to see? Now, for my short bias, I'm going to stick with it for now. If that changes, then it will change. We've taken that sell side liquidity. So the cycle bias may be to come for that buy side liquidity, but we'll see if that happens. I'm not sure it will if we break down again. I think we could possibly see, from looking at DXY, another sweep of its lows. Let's say we may get this, right? We may get that low taking out and then break some structure internally that we form around here, then pull back to go higher. Like we may see something like this. If we get that sell side liquidity and then up here we may get an SMC divergence, right, to a lower high. So this is just a prediction of something I would like to see. DXY take out this low, which is this high here, whereas I'd want EU to come up, however it does it, and take out these highs or this high as an internal buy side liquidity and then break down. So break of structure below some structure that it may create on the way up. This may happen on the 5 minute rather than the 15. And then we can get our possible corrective pullback to our lower time frame order block with imbalance to continue downwards. So I hope that's clear. See, we've already taken out this low. Okay, so we've got that SMC divergence already, right? Which is what I kind of expected. We may not take this buy side liquidity, but if we do, that'll be good. An internal buy side liquidity sponsor, sell side liquidity. I'd want this to close out as some sort of sweep. Okay, and then we see that structure break. That structure break may be down here, but for the purpose of this example, let's just continue with it how it is now. All right, break of structure around here, pull back with possible inducement here, imbalance and order block on lower time frame to go short. Okay, stop loss just above the highs, of course. And that would be what I'd look for, and that'd be all I need, right? So the SMC is still coming into the market now, that divergence. Keep an eye on DXY because it may look bearish. I'm not saying commit to this. We have swept that sell side liquidity. Wait for this structure is what I would be doing, okay? I'll be waiting for that structure. So that's what my sell would look like if it happens up here. But of course, this may happen, right? Which is an M15 breaker structure, which would be great. Take out this low, pull back to M15 order block with imbalance, right, to go short. So those are just the possible scenarios that I see. We may get that corrective pullback to give us an inducement, order block here with imbalance, and we just set our orders. Stop loss just above the order block or the high, wherever that may be, okay? And then you just trade down to whatever fits your strategy. So something like this would be the more clearer M15 move, whereas what I mentioned before may be an M5 move, right? We can see this is building up. It doesn't look great. It's not perfect at the moment, especially if DXY is looking very bearish like this. And then we've created this large wick. So do keep an eye on the higher time frame. Don't just commit to it. We may take further sell side liquidity here on DXY first. I'm going to wait for that structure. So that's the opportunity that I see with the bias that I see. I hope you gained value from that. I hope it was clear. Any questions, let me know in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.